Good morning. I'm Robert Summercrest. I'm Dean of the Terry College of Business at the University of Georgia, and I'd like to welcome all of you to the Terry Third Thursday Speaker Series. Now, I know that some of you have told me this is the first time you've been at our Terry Third Thursday Speaker Series, and so this may be the first time that you've been in this building. This is our Terry Executive Education Center, and it's a great opportunity for us to connect with people in Atlanta, as well as to run our Executive MBA program and some other non-credit executive programs. Terry Third Thursday, like so many of our events, wouldn't be possible without the dedication of our alumni board. I want to thank our Terry Third Thursday co-chairs, Louis Brown and Mike Ivey. Are you here today? Yes, back there. Thanks very much. Louis and Mike have done a tremendous job over the past year, but they're handing the reins over now to fellow alumni board members Cecil Cook and Diane Bloodworth. There we are, up here. So thanks very much for your hard work. Like the hard work of our alumni board, we also couldn't do this speaker series without the generous support of our sponsors. Our premier corporate sponsor is the Bank of North Georgia. Do we have representatives from Bank of North Georgia with us today? Back there, thanks very much. We also are sponsored by Deloitte. Any people from Deloitte today? Well, thank you for your support anyway. We have two media sponsors that help us with the program, Public Broadcasting Atlanta and the Atlantic Business Chronicle. Can I get you to identify yourselves with ABC? And thanks very much. Our Alumni Task Force is always working to bring new programs and better programs to Terry Third Thursday that will help engage the Atlanta business community. I want to tell you about a couple of the upcoming programs. Next month, on October 16th, our friend Jim Nally will be here. If you've been in Atlanta for any period of time, I think you no doubt have come across the Nally name for the car businesses. Jim's grandfather actually started the car business back in 1919. And Jim is now the chairman of Nally Automotive Group. In November, on November 20th, we've got Paul Wood joining us. That's going to be the last Terry Third Thursday of 2008. Paul is president and CEO of Georgia Electric Membership Corporation. Georgia EMC represents the state's 42 customer-owned EMCs, and collectively they provide about half of Georgia's population with power. Then we're going to take December off. I know we've got a lot of alumni with us today, and I want to remind you that we have a homecoming tailgate coming up. We're going to have our annual homecoming tailgate on October 18th. We're going to do it on the lawn in front of Brooks Hall. So please come and join us for a buffet, live music, lots of fun, and we hope another Bulldog victory. You can register for the tailgate with our alumni website or call our alumni relations office and talk to Jill Walton or Jennifer Allen. And both of them are with us this morning, I believe. So back there's Jill. I had the pleasure of meeting Louise Allen just last week at an event hosted by her future father-in-law and Terry College alumnus Dudley Moore. And like you, I'm looking forward to learning more about the company that she's leading and more about her. Louise is president of Ivan Allen Workspace. Her company has been in business for more than a century. It was founded by Ivan Allen. The Ivan Allen Company was founded by her grandfather, Ivan Allen Sr. Louise is the fourth generation of her family to run the business. And as a sign of the times, she is also the first female in the Allen family to serve as the company's chief executive. Ivan Allen Workspace sells and distributes office furniture and provides workspace design services for its clients throughout the Southeast. Like the generations before her, Louise has led the family business with a passionate dedication to serving the customers. The Allen family in Atlanta is also synonymous with public service. Her grandfather, Ivan Allen Jr., was a two-term mayor of Atlanta who so capably led the city Too Busy to Hate. through the turmoil of the civil rights era. Though she's not run for public office herself, Louise is no stranger to civic leadership. She serves on a number of boards and other organizations, including the Board of Advisors for the Metro Atlantic Chamber of Commerce, the Cabinet for Leadership for the Forward Atlanta, the Board of Advisors for Atlanta Women Magazine, the Tocqueville Society of the United Way, the Board of the Central Atlantic Progress, and on and on. So she's very involved with the community, and we certainly appreciate that. Louise has been voted one of Atlanta's top 25 women to watch. She received Georgia Trend's 40 Under 40 Award in 2006, and most recently, in 2008, she was honored by Woman of Excellence by the Business to Business magazine. Louise joins us this morning to talk about the challenges and the privileges of running a fourth-generation family business. Please help me welcome Louise.
Good morning, everyone. If you only knew what I was like in high school, you can ask my mom and dad. Some of the things that the dean listed off would be quite a surprise. Right, Mom? But I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here today. This company was started in 1902, as the dean mentioned, by my great-grandfather, Senator Ivan Allen. There is a picture of him back in the early days when he began the business. And I am the fourth generation to run the family-owned business. Now, some of you may have heard an old adage that goes something like this with respect to family businesses. The first generation makes it, the second one spends it, and the third one loses it. Well, guess what? We're in the fourth generation, so we may have gone through all those, but we have defied the odds. In fact, we are coupled amongst about 100 companies remaining in the country that are still fourth generation and family owned. You may be familiar with Levi Strauss. We probably all throw on those blue jeans on the weekend. Anheuser-Busch was recently on that list, and if you've read the newspaper lately, they have since gone separate ways, and I won't speculate on why, but it's a very small group of people, and we're very proud as a family to still be considered on that list. But what I would like to share with you today is how has Ivan Allen been able to be counted among those 100 businesses that still strive and thrive today? And I also want to share with you what we're doing in order to prepare this business for the fifth generation and move into the 21st century. So I'm going to cover two things today. First, I'm going to tell you the story of this great company and how we've become the great brand that you know today. Next, I'm going to tell you some of the changes that I've had to make in order to reinvigorate the business. The Ivan Allen story. My great-grandfather, Senator Ivan Allen, started the business in 1902, and I believe that he was a true visionary before his time. You see, in 1902, his business peers were going to this location to get their office supplies, they were going here to get their typewriters, and they were going over to this business to get their desks and chairs. And he said, wait a minute, let's make this easy. So he brought them all under what we like to call the first big box, which is, it says the Fielder and Allen Company. And this was a picture of our very first store where business leaders in Atlanta could now come to one location and get all of their needs to get up and running in business. But that wasn't the only thing that separated him as a real visionary, in my opinion. He also decided to deliver office supplies. In fact, I've heard that we were the first office supply company ever to deliver in the country. But I'm going to take it down a notch and tell you that certainly within the Southeast, we were the first company ever to deliver supplies. In fact, this is a picture, this is an actual picture of the bicycle, one of the bicycles that was used. And my great-grandfather rode this bicycle, but there was also a gentleman at Ivan Allen who for 48 years delivered office supply products to our customers on that bicycle. And when he retired at the end of 48 years, the family business gave him a car. I think he deserved a car after pedaling that bicycle for 48 years. Next was my grandfather, Ivan Allen Jr., who was Ivan Allen Sr.'s only son. And as the dean mentioned, Ivan Allen Jr. was the mayor of Atlanta during the 60s. I'm not a historian, but I have heard that he was a hero during the civil rights movement. He really helped Atlanta through the 60s. But it wasn't just his role as mayor. He actually, along with his business peers in the city of Atlanta, really helped attract a lot of the businesses that are here today, a lot of the sports teams that are here today. It was that generation that really put Atlanta on the map, and I'm very proud of that. But during this whole time, he's involved in politics. He's involved in recruiting all of these companies and sports teams to Atlanta. The business wasn't exactly his primary focus, but having the mayor of Atlanta also be the CEO of your family business isn't such a bad thing for business. But to me, he was just my grandpa. He lived next door to me. Every single afternoon, he would come whistling in the front door, wanted to find out how everyone's day was. He was very just charming. But Sunday nights were particularly special. Grandpa would come over on Sunday nights, and my sisters and I had bathed and had dinner. We were little kids, and we were in our nightgowns, and he'd say, "It's ice cream time." And we'd pile in the back of Grandpa's car without my mom and dad, and he'd take the three of us down to Baskin & Robbins, and we could get any ice cream we wanted. And that was our Sunday ritual with my grandfather. But I really believe that he was the one that established Ivan Allen Company as the Atlanta institution that it is today. This is a picture of him during the 60s. This is also a picture of my grandfather escorting. He was very close to Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King, and had a great relationship with the African American community in Atlanta. And this is actually a picture of him escorting Coretta Scott King to Birmingham when Martin Luther King had passed away. Next comes my Uncle Ivan, Ivan III, who was one of my grandfather's sons, and he joined the business as president at the age of 29, which was just 2 years younger than I was when I joined as president. And Ivan, like his father, like my grandfather, was incredibly publicly spirited. He led the he was chamber president twice. He played an integral role in bringing the Olympics to Atlanta. But during my Uncle Ivan's tenure, the storm clouds started to brew. In fact, I was talking to my cousin Amanda not long ago. This was actually just a couple of weeks ago. And Amanda said to me, "You know, I remember the day that my dad came home from the office and he said, you know, something's going on and I don't feel very good about it. There's this company that's not in the Southeast, but it's getting ready to make its push to the Southeast, and I'm worried about it, and it's called Office Depot." And sure enough, it was eventually the big box that had a huge impact on our family business. My dad, Inman, where's Inman? Hey, Dad, you want to stand up and wave? Yeah. My dad took over the business when my uncle passed away. My dad took over the business. Let's get a picture of him. There's a picture of my dad when he joined in the 90s. And it was really my dad that started the process of modernizing Ivan Allen Workspace. In the mid-90s, we were taking every single furniture and supply order with a pencil and a piece of paper. And he was the one that said, enough's enough, we're in the mid-90s, it's time to get technology involved. But that's not all he did. He expanded us into new markets in the Southeast. he actually divested us of other markets that were not as growth-oriented. And he was the one that had the foresight to have Ivan Allen begin getting into the focus of the higher education and healthcare markets, which really make up more than 50% of our business today. So thank you, Dad. And and oh, by the way, he hired me. But before I talk about how and why I joined Ivan Allen Workspace, I want to share a little bit more about what happened when my dad was there. My dad identified, so we've got the pressure of Office Depot, and you saw the slide of Staples coming into town. It was my dad that realized that the skill set and the sales cycle to sell supplies was far different than the skill set and the sales cycle that it took to sell furniture. Supplies, you could sell it in, a week. You had to take out a piece of paper and write down a few notes. The furniture, you could have a 2-year lead time. You've got a lot of complexities working with design community, construction firms, real estate brokers. So he divided the two disciplines within the organization. And after that division took place, we ended up as a family selling the supply piece of the business to Staples. Well, it made sense because at that time, Staples, you could go to Staples and you could buy a stapler at retail for less than Ivan Allen could buy staplers for wholesale. So the time had come. But what was great about it was he saw, after we divested of the supply piece, he realized that there was a real business opportunity with the furniture. So my immediate family, I have 2 younger sisters, and my mom and dad and myself, took ownership of the furniture business. So how did I become CEO? Some days I ask myself that question. By the way, here's a picture of my dad and me fishing, because I wanted to make the point to everyone that prior to my joining, Dad and I hung out together. We went fishing and hunting and traveling, and Saturday, we never ever spoke about the business. In fact, my mom said to him at one point, "And then why don't you get your girls involved in the business?" And he said, "No, they need to go out and do their own thing." And that I did. I went out to San Francisco. I worked for Goldman Sachs. I then went and worked for a startup internet company. Transferred to New York in 2001. Spent about 4 years there working for Thomson Financial, which, for those of you know, is a huge publicly traded company. Started 3 business divisions for them. But I started getting this itch. I was 30 years old, and I started getting this itch that, wait a minute, I'm ready for something different. So I came back to Atlanta, and I sat down with my dad, and he said, "What do you really want to do?" And I said, "Well, I want something that's sales-focused, sales and operations-focused. But I believe in order for a salesperson to be successful, that the back-end side, the operational side, has to be dead on perfect. So I want something that's sales and operations focused. I want to be part of a very tight-knit industry, and I want to be part of an industry that's been doing the same thing the same way for 100 years. Now, most of you, you're all laughing because you're saying, "Well, of course, we know exactly what you should do." Well, the light never went off for either one of us. And my dad said, "Well, I tell you what, why don't you go on down to the company, talk to the former president at the time, tell him what you're looking for, and I bet he knows a couple of companies in Atlanta that would fit that criteria." So sure enough, I moseyed on down to the company. I met with the president. He gave me the names of some companies. I actually went and interviewed with them. But when our meeting was over, I said, "Well, now, tell me, how do you handle this? And have you all considered outsourcing this? And what's the impact that X is having on the business?" And all of these answers I got, I thought, I don't know anything about the furniture industry, but I'm not comfortable with the answers that I'm getting. So I came home for dinner that night, and my mom and dad and I sat at the dinner table, and I said, Dad, why would I get an answer like this? And what is this supposed to mean? And are you kidding me? And he said, I tell you what, tomorrow morning, you go to the office. I'll tell everyone at the office that you have full access to any information that you need, and you ask them so that you hear it directly from them. So I showed up there first thing the next morning, and for 2.5 months, I spent every single day digging into the history of that company. I met with clients that had decided that they never wanted to work with us again. I met with clients that thought there's no one else other than Ivan Allen. I met with associates that had been at Ivan Allen for over 30 years. I met with some that had just joined in 3 months. I met with vendors. I covered all what I thought at the time was all of my bases. And I arrived at the fact that things needed to change. And you know what? Like any fourth-generation family-owned business, there comes a time where you really have to revitalize, probably multiple times that you have to really revitalize. So in May of so I called a meeting with my dad, a formal meeting, and I put on a suit, and he put on a suit, and we met off-site. I figured not at the office and not at home. We met off-site, and we sat down across the table from one another, and he put an envelope out in front of me, and he said, see this envelope? And I said, yes, and he said, it's sealed. And he said, this is what I want to have come out of this meeting. And you can open it right now, and we can call it a meeting. And I said, well, you know what? I've done a lot of homework researching what was going on in the company. I've put together what I believe is a really good plan and some really good ideas that you all should consider. So I would like to take the time to actually go through this. And he said, okay. So we went through it, talked a little bit about the feedback, and then he said, all right, well, why don't you open up the envelope? So I opened up the envelope, and there were about 9 bullet points that he had handwritten. And the first one said, I would like for you to become CEO of Ivan Allen Workspace effective immediately. I didn't look at the other 7 because I thought he was going to say, I would like for you to start in our customer service department effective immediately. And 3 years after that, I'd like for you to move into the installation team and do that for 3 years. Needless to say, we came to an agreement, and he said to me, Friday afternoon, it's mine, Louise, and when you show up Monday morning, it's 100% yours. And when I tell you that that actually happened, it actually happened. I showed up Monday morning. You could have heard a pin drop because they all wanted to know, who is this person that has no experience in the office furniture industry, no experience running a business of this size, and, oh, by the way, our fearless leader, Inman, has decided to exit stage left and go hunting. So this would be the infamous day that I joined. And that's a picture of my dad and me. So again, it's like I said, I sort of got there and I was drinking through a fire hose, and I needed to sort of figure out what needed to be done, et cetera. But the overall message was, any company that's been around for 4 generations, they're going to have periods of time where it has to be pretty significantly revitalized. And that's exactly what I set out to do. So I want to share with you 4 key things that I addressed. One was the leadership team, the product line, the customer service, and our new image today. The product line. This is what we used to do at Ivan Allen, and we did it really well, but I don't think anyone's offices look quite like that anymore. But here's the thing. Ivan Allen had the exclusive franchise with a particular manufacturer in the marketplace. And that manufacturer decided after a number of years that they would put another dealership in the marketplace that basically would divide the manufacturer's time amongst the 2 of us and put us in a situation where we were competing with one another. I didn't think that that was exactly the right thing to do, but the decision had already been made. Um, there was also a situation, I'll tell you exactly what happened. There was a Blue Cross Blue Shield presentation up in Chattanooga. It's a $15 million project. Now, to give you all some context, a $15 million project for any furniture manufacturer on a national level in a given year is a pretty big deal. So Ivan Allen had been given this opportunity, and I called the manufacturer and I said, listen, I think it would send a very strong message if someone from your team came down to Atlanta, did this presentation, even if all they said was, my name is Ernie Prickett and I stand behind this product line and we're here to support Ivan Allen and it would be an honor to earn your business. And do you know the response I got? I'm sorry, but we don't do that. We'll send you a video clip. And I said, well, thank you very much. We'll go win this project on our own. And that was a little bit of a concern to me. Then I had spent time asking my clients, what do you want? What do you need? What are you not getting? And they said, which a lot of you who are involved in business today probably also hear, we want more, better, faster, and at the right value. And basically what they were saying to me was, improve the quality, make sure you're always cutting edge. I don't want to wait 14-week lead times. I want it in 4-week lead times. And I don't want to pay $100 a unit. I want to pay $80 a unit. So more, better, faster, and at the right value. And I said, you know what? There's got to be a better manufacturer partner out there for Ivan Allen to move forward into the 21st century. So this was the first start of switching manufacturers. So after 60 years, we aligned ourselves with a company called All Steel. And if you all aren't familiar with All Steel, I think you're missing out on a huge opportunity. Strong Midwestern work ethic. They've got a tremendous environmental story. They've actually been practicing the Kaizen approach, which is the lean manufacturing approach that Toyota adopted about 20 years ago. And I'm not going to speculate on the car industry, but I would imagine that's why Toyota has picked up some pretty significant traction. It's a fantastic. So if you're not taking advantage of All Steel, I would encourage you to do so. And I know a few people in this audience that have, so thank you. The leadership team, and I actually jumped around, so I apologize. The leadership team. I've heard that when you join a company, if you take the top 2%, that's your leadership team, and the other 98% is everyone else that you need in order to be successful. And that when you're trying to implement change, it's easy to get that 2% on board. The challenge is to get the 98% to buy into it and actually move forward. Well, I walked into a little bit of a different situation. I had 98% of the organization that knew the right things to do, knew what the client needed, and wanted to do the right thing. I got a phone call from a client 2 weeks after I joined Ivan Allen. And they said, Louise, you're the new president? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, well, I need you to come over to my office this afternoon. And I said, I'll be right there. I went over there. We walked into this room, and he said, I don't think I need to say anything more. And I said, no, you don't. Chairs were broken. Tables weren't done correctly. There were a number of issues. And he said, I've been trying for 12 months to get this resolved. And I said, well, I tell you what, I can't resolve it right this second, but I will go back to the office and I will come up with a timeline and a plan, and we will get this resolved. So I went back to Ivan Allen and I pulled the leadership team in, and I found the smallest room. You know, there's something to say about innocence is bliss. This was about week 2. I found the smallest conference room at Ivan Allen. Is about a 4-foot by 5-foot room, and I put them all in the same room. Some of them had to be shoulder to shoulder. Some of them had to look at each other. It was just painful. And I said, here's the scenario. What are we going to do about it? And I got some blank stares. I got some of these. And not one person in that room said, I'll get it taken care of. And I said, you know what? Meeting is adjourned, and I worked with some other people in the organization, part of that 98%, and we got that project fixed in 2 weeks, and I'm proud to say they're still a client of ours today. But that leadership team is no longer with me. In fact, you've heard the saying, stand on the shoulders of giants to accomplish some pretty mighty things. And Stan Johnson is here with us today, and he is director of our operations. Doug Wynn is with us today, and he is our vice president of sales. Unfortunately, Judy Talley is with us, and she oversees our communications and marketing. Our director of HR is actually at boot camp right now. She has to do something to maintain all the stress at the. And then Hamp Hart, who is our chief operating officer, could not be with us today. So I have a pretty amazing team that has done a tremendous job of empowering the associates and setting a vision and making sure that we're providing extraordinary service. I am going to skip past the product line because I apologize that I didn't follow my notes. But I want to show you a couple of just quick examples. As I mentioned, we do a bunch of healthcare. Probably 50% of our business is healthcare. We've worked with about 25 major hospitals and medical facilities in the city of Atlanta. We do an enormous amount of LEED certified projects. You probably have all heard of the big initiative from the environmental and green standpoint. This entire building is LEED certified, including the furniture that we put in it, which was really a driving factor for them choosing to go with us. So we're very proud of that. And before I click to the next slide, which will be the last one to show y'all some pictures of product, I have heard from a very, very reliable source that the University of Georgia really likes our product. And I think that's UGA 7 sitting at a conference table. Doesn't he look happy? So for that, I would like to thank Brenda Elrod, who is the Director of Facilities and Design Planning at University of Georgia, who has been interior design, who has been wonderful to work with, so thank you. Next is customer service. As I mentioned, I told you a little bit about when I first joined, some of the challenges that we had, and this is probably too hard to read from where you are, but when I joined, I had too many phone calls and too many upset clients about things not being done, things not being delivered when we said we would, not being resolved after the fact. And so I think if you were to ask anyone at Ivan Allen here today without my prompting them, what is the #1 thing that Ivan Allen focuses on, they would say, I should cue you up, but they would say providing extraordinary experiences. Because I believe at the end of the day, we provide a commodity. People are getting product out of China, they're ordering it online, there's too many competitors just in Atlanta, let alone the rest of the Southeast. And unless Ivan Allen is providing extraordinary customer experience, and that is all the way from the very beginning to the end, then we must do that. And I believe, I'll tell you what we did to accomplish that. And it sounds very old school, but every single morning at 9 a.m. at Ivan Allen, and this started about 3.5 years ago, I instituted a 9 a.m. phone call. And there was a 1-800 number so that if people were out in the field or salespeople were, traveling, every single person in the company dialed into that call, and we had to provide an issue. So if Brenda is having an issue at the University of Georgia, Jackie would dial in and she'd say, here's what the issue is, here's what the client name is, here's what the issue is, here's what the order number is, and it would be assigned to someone to get resolved. And let me tell you, when you do the math as a business owner and you take 100 associates and you put them on a call for an hour every single day, the cost behind it add up. But the impact that it had was phenomenal, because that list started off on day one, and we probably had 65 to 70 items a day on that list. We can have that same call every single day this week, and maybe one item will come up on it. These are any accounting issues that people have had, any service issues, any needs that they might need. It is, and it has truly, it sounds very remedial, but it has truly changed and sent a very strong message to the organization that we are all about service and taking care of our customers and doing it in a quick, timely fashion. This is just a client testimonial. I sort of went from getting these emails of, what the heck are y'all doing? Your grandfather would be appalled, to, you guys have really, really done a fantastic job. So now we've got a great new leadership team that's empowering these associates that knew what needed to be done, wanted to do the right thing. We've got a product line that we're so proud to be partnered with, because they're more, better, faster, and at the right value with a huge environmental story. We've addressed all of our customer service issues so that I can guarantee you'll have an amazing experience working with Ivan Allen. But guess what? We were still, with all due respect, Dad, the gray-haired old men that had run the company prior, and these big steel desks and an address on Peachtree Street. And I said, no way, that's not us. We are an aggressive, technology-based, moving towards the 21st century, and we're going to change that. So we actually, this is a picture of, we moved over to the west side of town. So we're over there at Howell Mill in Marietta, for those of you who know where Taqueria del Sol or Star Provisions or some of those. We're over in a very young, hip, we're actually in an old warehouse with big high ceilings and exposed brick, and all the associates get free parking, which we know in Atlanta is a great added advantage. But we have really, really tried to recreate who we are. But in closing, I want to share with you, we've made all of these changes, and we're really excited about them, and we're moving forward, and we're very appreciative of the clients that we have. However, we have a responsibility as an organization to never forget where we came from. And we came from 100 years of being very professional, having a very strong work ethic, a high level of honesty and integrity, and doing the right thing. And as long as we can carry that appropriate thread through as we move forward to the 21st century, I think it actually really complements the fact that we now provide terrific service and relevant products and have a great workforce. So with that, actually before I turn it back over to you, in case any of y'all were wondering what the dean did during his free time, do y'all wonder? I thought I would share a picture with you. That is the dean and me at my future father-in-law's dove shoot last week. And there he is, head to toe in camouflage. So we're glad to know that you'll get out of your suit, and he shot 2 dove too.
I was going to say, we can attest he's a dead eye.
He is a dead eye. He's a dead eye. So it's not just being dressed up. Do I take questions now?
Yeah, and can I ask that when you have questions that you raise your hand and get a microphone? We're taping this for our podcasting site, and so not only will other people in the room not hear your question, but we won't get it on tape. So,
okay.
Yeah, we're ready for a few questions.
These are challenging times. I mean, we read newspaper and so forth. How are you dealing with those challenging times in your company as you look at revenue growth?
That's a great question. We sell office furniture, and we sell the services that go along with it, but there are a lot of other areas that people need help with. For example, right now there's a lot of product out on the market where people have either downsized or been acquired. We've been reading the paper. We actually have the ability to handle all of that from a service standpoint. So we can reconfigure and make the existing product that's in a space that you might acquire suitable for your needs. We also do a lot of asset management. So as we see some of these companies divest of subsidiaries, but they don't want to necessarily get rid of this new product, we can store that. So we're really working on pushing some of our ancillary offerings that, in a booming economy, people don't, they want to buy brand new product and they don't care about storing it or refurbishing it. But we are spending a lot of time focusing on that. Stan, is there anything else on that? Okay, good. But you have to be very careful about, where and how you're spending money, and are you making smart decisions about, your investments. So we are all keeping a very close eye on that.
Is this working?
Yes.
What was your father's reaction to the changing out of the management team?
Well, he's here, and I'm not going to let him answer that. That was, my dad had the fortunate opportunity, when you've got succession issues and challenges, which I know a lot of companies do these days, we sort of had the advantage, having been a fourth-generation family business, of having seen it done several different ways. And my dad, it was really his idea that said, you know what, I am only in your way, and I am only sending a mixed message to the organization if every decision you make, I reverse, or every decision you make, I have to weigh in, which is really why he said, and I think that took a lot of courage to say, 5 o'clock Friday, it's mine, and Monday morning, it's yours. Now, I think maybe in hindsight, my dad and I would both go back and say, maybe there would have been a healthy little, 6-month, we'll work together on some things, but that was a hard thing. It was very hard for me. I knew that there was a lot of loyalty between my dad and some of those associates, but I really, really believed that in order for me to be successful in that role, I had to make some of those tough decisions and take those risks. So Dad's giving me a thumbs up, so. But it was hard to do.
Over the next 24 months, what your company, your two biggest challenges and thoughts on how you're going to address them?
Our two biggest challenges, well, one thing that we always focus on every single day is attracting great new people into the business and retaining the ones that we currently have. And then obviously addressing the issues of the economy. Tomorrow we could have a number of our clients have a spending freeze. So fortunately for us, we have ahead of the curve gotten into some of these other vertical markets, higher education, healthcare, government. There are a lot of dollars there that people are putting forth. The corporate has really slowed down. So the challenge is I think, to make sure that we have that right balanced portfolio within the company over the next 24 months.
Louise, you seem to have done a tremendous job.
Who's talking?
Back here? Okay.
Okay.
I'll just keep standing. You mentioned several times helping the company transition into the 21st century. Clearly, from the look of your logo to your office space to your product offering, you've clearly done that. Are there any areas where you don't yet have a presence but could see the company transitioning into and be effective?
You mean within the Southeast?
Well, not necessarily geographically, but are there other verticals? You've mentioned healthcare, you mentioned higher education. Are there other verticals, or are there other type environments where you could see taking the company?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that. One of the things, because I could sit here and talk to y'all all day, but I know everyone's got to get back to their jobs. But when I got to Ivan Allen, I understood us to be an office furniture company, and yes, we did sell into government and higher ed and healthcare, but we also did carpet and raised flooring and artwork and lighting, and it was sort of, we were focusing on too many things at the time in order to be really, really good at what it was that was our core competency. So when I got there, I sort of said, until we nail furniture and do it better than anyone in the Southeast, we're not going to work on these other areas. It doesn't mean that at some point that's not a real opportunity for us to get into some other areas that would complement what we're already doing without encroaching on some other people in the industry that's their trade and they're very, very excellent at it. Does that answer your question?
You showed us pictures of those old metal desks. What are the latest trends in office furniture? What does it look like today?
That's a great question. There are a number of different trends happening, obviously due to fuel prices and technology. People are doing a lot more work from home. They are coming in what we're calling touchdowns. They'll come in and rather than having a big desk and a big office, they'll actually have a small little area where they can touch down, plug in their laptop, get the work done that they need to for that day, and then head on out. So we're seeing the touchdown model. We are also seeing at an alarming rate companies pulling all of their executives and office dwellers out of offices into open plan. And I would say that 98% of the companies that we work with are facing that challenge, because you've had, executives that have been in, 12 by 15 offices and they've had privacy, and now all of a sudden there are no offices in the company. There's shared conference rooms if they needed to have a private call, but for the most part they're going into open plan, and real estate is so valuable that they're going into a smaller footprint. Their actual desk is going into a smaller footprint. And there is a huge initiative behind the LEED certified product. But anything else?
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
On behalf of the Alumni Board and the Terry College, I'd like to present this glass sculpture by local artist Paul Benzinas to you. Thanks very much for coming.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all very much.
As you leave the parking deck, remember to say that you were at the Terry Third Thursday presentation, and that's your ticket out of here. I hope I see you next month.